गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुसाक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः. सत्संगत्वे निस्संगत्वं निस्संगत्वे निर्मोहत्वं निर्मोहत्वे निश्चलतत्वं निश्चलतत्वे जीवन मुक्ति. This is a capsule in 3-4 steps. Adi Shankaracharya has given us how to be the self. Jivan Mukti, liberation, is the goal. And in order for that which is already the journey mentioned to this individual who feels that he is not liberated at this moment because he is caught up in his mind, he is caught up in his attachments, he is caught up in his pursuits of the world. So he is told Satsangatve Nissangatvam. He is told by Shankaracharya that be in satsang always. Sangha means company. Satsang means good company or company of the truth. At a very gross level, in the outside world, it will mean company of good people. When we come into the subtle aspect of our personality, it means be in the company of good thoughts. And when we come to the personality, then it means be in the company of the self, not in the company of the ego. So in this we become alert about in our daily living, satsangatve, because if we don't do this, then our mind goes into dussang. We get involved in the company of bad. What is bad? Any thought, any person in the outside world, any situation, any experience of the outside world which we have got, that takes us away from our Lord or ourself is dussanga. Then at the subtle level, any thought which takes us away from the thought of the divine is dussanga. And even further, being an ego individual is dussanga, and being the self is the ultimate satsanga. So in this way we are told satsangatve nissangatvam. Nissangatva means we get detached from the unwanted, from the bad, and get attached to the good. Just like when we go to sleep, our attention is on the bliss of the sleep, which will rejuvenate us. And in that focus, in that satsang with the bliss of the sleep, even though it is a memory to begin with, we disassociate, get detached with all un- with the whole world, with all the thoughts. They automatically leave us. We don't have to leave them. All we are doing is we are focused on the bliss of the sleep. Similarly, in our daily living, in our meditation, we become focused on the satsang in the outside world with the good people, good situations, good no gossiping, in the mind, good thoughts, and ever remaining as the witness of everything. In this way, we dissolve our personality. Satsangatve nissangatvam. Also, dussang, bad company, is feeling within ourselves that we are good meditators, that we are more spiritual, that we do lot of satsang, others don't do, so I am better than them. This type of feeling within our heart and mind must be discarded. It is not conducive to satsang. This is this thought itself is dussang. It is bad company. It will increase your ego, it will make you arrogant. So this must be dropped. And in this way, remain aware. Satsangatve nissangatvam. Nissangatve nirmohatvam. Nirmohatvam is moha is delusion. Nirmoha is absence of delusion. Only in the company of the truth, the side effect of which is nissangatve, nissangatvam, dispassion or detachment from the unwanted, the mind becomes free of delusion. What is delusion? Delusion is seeing things and beings and this whole universe not as they are. We see a woman, instead of seeing a woman, we call her a wife. This is delusion. We see a person and in our mind the feeling comes, without this person I cannot live. That I must achieve this, I must achieve that, I must do this, I must do that. I think that person is manipulating me. So many unwanted thoughts, feelings, and this is delusion. Ultimately, delusion is that because of which we think that the happiness that we are seeking can be gained from the world. This is the ultimate delusion. This needs to be dropped, and this cannot be dropped by thinking. This gets dropped by itself by way of satsang. The more we are in satsang and we are subjective and we have faith and we are sincere, to that extent detachment from everything will happen, and as a result of that detachment, the delusion, the veil of ignorance, the bhranti which was covering the mind or influencing the mind, it becomes weaker and weaker. As the unwanted thoughts become less, to that extent the mind becomes purer and purer, and a pure mind is a non undiluted mind. An undiluted mind in a positive way is called Nischala Tattvam. Nirmohatve Nischala Tattvam. Nischala Tattvam means pure, waveless. That mind which is able to reflect things as they are. That mind which is able to reflect the self as it is. Nischala Tattva. Chala means that which is moving. Nischala, that which is unmoving. In deluded mind, there are too many thoughts. In a Nischala mind, there are very less thoughts or no thoughts. But you have not gone to sleep. You are awake. You are aware. You are alert. Nischala Tattva. Another meaning of Nischala Tattva will mean that, oh sir, on the seat of meditation, I can understand the mind becomes quiet without any thought waves. But what about in the world? How can we live in the world with Nischala Tattvam? Nischala Tattvam, while being awake and moving around in the world, means not getting influenced by any thought, idea, emotion that is erupting in our mind. That is Nischala Tattva. Our attention is wholly and solely on the Atma Tattva, on the being, on the conscious principle. Just like when we go to sleep, our attention is wholly and solely on the sleep. That's why the whole world drops away from the mind. But there, the mind, even though is Nischala Tattvam, but the veil of ignorance is still there. So, sadhana can be done only in the waking state. And if sleep comes, we have to be aware that this sleep is only a condition of the mind. It is not the self. And that way we are able to transcend the sleep also. So Nischala Tattva means remaining undisturbed on account of the thought eruptions within our mind. Within our mind, there are three modalities, three moods: Sattvic, Rajasic and Tamasic. Tamasic thoughts, tamas affects our mind. Tamas means gross, tamas means the
Lysil.
no, tamas here it will mean from yoga point of view the objects of the world. As long as our mind is attached to the objects of the world, Nischala Tattva is very difficult, Atma Sakshatkar is very difficult. Rajas expresses in our mind as activity. Activity, I have to do this, I have to do that, I have to do meditation, I have to do, I have to realize, I have to this, I have to that. All these thoughts bring about a flurry of activity within our personality, within our body and mind. And a person is caught up in this. As long as our mind is under the influence of Rajas and Tamas, is intoxicated by activity, is intoxicated by objects of the world, and therefore desiring the objects of the world or desiring to be active all the time, such a person can never invoke the sattva within the mind. When we think about the Lord or the Self, this tamas and rajas become less, and sattva, which is of the nature of knowledge, it starts revealing. And eventually we have to go beyond sattva also. But how to invoke the sattva within our mind? By not giving too much importance to the tamas, which is the objects of the world, and not giving too much importance to rajas, which is the urge to be involved in activity. Then and then alone the sattva will be invoked within you. And in a sattvic mind, a person gets automatically focused on the divine principle, must be aware, alert that he must not have the holier than thou attitude. And as long as the attention is on satsang, everything will fall in place. And in this manner, satsangatve nissangatvam, nissangatve nirmohatvam, nirmohatve nischalatatvam, nischalatatve jivan muktihi. Nischalatattva is, as we said, a mind which is thought free. A thought free mind, just like waters of the ocean, when they are calm, the moon is able to reflect completely. But when there are waves on the ocean, we see the light of the moon, but we can't see the complete reflection of the moon. Exactly the same way, when there are too many thoughts in the mind, the light of the self gets scattered. When the mind is calm and has not gone to sleep, the self reflects as it is in such a nischala mind, a purified mind, a thought-free mind, a waveless mind. And coming to this point where the mind is free of all the thoughts, and you are the presence, you are the light, illuminating both the presence of the thoughts as well as the absence of the thoughts. Coming to that self that we already are is Jivan Muktihi. In this way, one must contemplate and come to abide in his essential nature.